we're working on some test brews with the band from Norway, 1349. Doing some 2 different beers, trying to find the right one to start with, and trying to find a brewery in Norway to do a collaboration brew with and involve the band. The band is obviously into craft beer, or they're very, very inspired by craft beer, and they see it correlate directly into their music, and they're very instrumental in the recipe and the development of the beer. There's a lot of breweries doing band beers and labels, but the bands aren't always involved. It's more like we brewed this beer in honor of this band, and we want them involved in the making of it. We want them involved in the recipe development, raw material selection, branding, how the label looks, the artwork, and hopefully it'll come out when their new record comes out, and then hopefully work out so that when they're touring, the beer will be available in the markets that they're touring at.
Murphy. I'm brewer at Lervig Aktiebryggeri.
I'm Frost of the band 1349. I'm Todd, head brewer at Brewing Company in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I'm Raven. I'm vocalist of 1349.
So we're here today actualizing an idea that came from a chance meeting at a show in a club in St. Paul, Minnesota, where these guys were performing on tour with Triptychon. And I was there as a fan, noticed them after their set, carefully selecting the beers they wanted with their, part of their package when they get paid is they get a couple of beers. And at this particular club, they got, I think, a beer ticket. They could have whatever draft beer they wanted. And I saw Frost and Archeon carefully selecting which American craft beer they're gonna have. And I'm like, they're into beer. I can't fucking believe it. So me and Ben from the brewery, we were kind of watching them for a bit, and finally got enough nerve to go over and say, hey, I noticed you guys like good beer. I just introduced myself and said I work at a local brewery. This is our packaging manager, Ben. Great show, just standard fan stuff. And it quickly evolved into a conversation about a potential opportunity to maybe collaborate with the band, with Surly. And at that time, we didn't know a Norwegian brewery that might be interested in working with this project.
I had tried a few of those Lervig craft beers, and they really impressed me. I guess I tasted one of their stronger craft brews first, but it was when I tasted this beer called Lucky Jack, which was a pretty low alcoholic American pale ale, but which was still, so flavorful, so hoppy and fruity and nice, that I thought that they must be doing something right. And then I tasted another stronger beer, which was even more impressive, and I started to read a little about Lervig, and I understood that this seems to be an ambitious brewery. Could be exactly what we're after. And then I think I read an article which was about Lervig and which was stating exactly that. And here was a brewery that were seeming to have good capacity, and that were issuing several really, really nice brews. And they didn't really earn anything on this, as from what the article said, but there was obviously this long-term plan behind what was going on, and I think this is so right that perhaps these would be the right guys to initiate the cooperation with them. In order for this project to have real meaning, at least one of the brews has to be a really radical, quite extreme and expressful brew, because the band is like that. which is the black ale we're brewing today. And we have started with that because it takes a little longer while to actually mature the beer and put it out on the market. But I also wanted there to be a beer that would be a little more approachable in a way, because this black ale we're making now is truly going to be a handful, and it's also that kind of beer that you cannot really drink at any occasion. It's very strong, it's packed with taste, and I guess many people will love it, but it's also going to be too much for some. And I would also like to have 1349 beers that you could have at some other occasions. And like when I had done a show, and if I'm to have a beer afterwards, the black ale is going to be too much because I will be, thirsty. And the pale ale, which we're going to start working on a bit later, is going to be like that. It will complement the black ale. I think the two together will be a perfect pair of 1349 beers, and they can fit different occasions or be had at the same night. But there should be one beer like that. So the pale ale will be a bit more hoppy. It's going to be lighter in terms of flavor and alcohol, and it's going to be that kind of beer you would want to have after a really, really hard days or a hard night's effort.
Yeah, so the idea with the black ale is always, like Frost said, extreme, but also, Mike's probably, his brands don't necessarily represent those as much as ours, so it's what I was talking about earlier too, about the collaboration part is, Lervig's going to have a beer that, will be available hopefully all over back into their territory in the States.
Yeah.
And Scandinavia that is, I think, compared to their regular lineup, is going to be extremely challenging and may not be for the Scandinavian market, or at least Norway, but for sure it's for the beer geeks and for the people that are active and talk about breweries. And but it's a perfect opportunity for Lervig to showcase their abilities and their brew house, which is amazing and huge and works great for these types of beers. And for us, it's a great experience to work abroad, learn things at a different brewery, and bring music creatively into the brewing process. Absolutely. And not just, I think what Frost was referring to is a lot of breweries just slap the band logo or name on the beer, and the band's not really there, they're not involved, they don't really know how the beer should taste, they just put all their trust in the brewers, and we kind of flipped that around for this and sat patiently and listened to what the band had to say and what they wanted. And me and Mike had some real conversations about what we could execute and what we couldn't, and that's kind of where we are today.
Frost wanted a lot of different flavors in this beer.
Yeah,
From eucalyptus to spruce to 100,000 IBUs to roasty to chocolatey to smooth to creamy to dry to, it had every.
It's all right. Everything you say is correct, and I came with this pretty extensive wish list.